So ReZero, stuck in another world with this bullshit all over again, is getting another anime, and that's gonna be season 2. Now, I'm not a fan of that anime, so I might as well make a video about that when I initially feel like it is probably gonna come out during the summer. But in comparison, Rising of the Shield Hero and ReZero's protagonist are the same character, and both of the writers write in the same style, in the sense that both of the characters eat dirt the entire series, and while they complain about all my life is just horrible and boo-hoo, blah 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 blah, it's shit, and while they complain the entire time, simultaneously they have multiple factors about their lives that are very good, and refuse to accept the goodness of those factors in their lives. In addition to that, both of the characters have the opportunity of walking away from the scenario that they're in and letting things play out, but they don't. And despite the characters and the cast of those characters in both series being vast and overwhelming, both of the character developments for both series are extremely underwhelming. In the case of ReZero, it's extremely abysmal due to the very fact that no one really has an actual personality. But when it comes to Rising of the Shield Hero, it just squanders everything that it does away. Now, talking distinctively about Rising of the Shield Hero, now, I know I've made multiple videos about this series, but I'm just going to condense it down all into one video, and ultimately come back and do it again for the other half of the season. So, this is me making a definitive video, now ridiculing this piece of garbage now, and in another couple weeks from now, I'm going to make another video validating my position on the matter, because I know it's still going to be bad in a couple weeks from now when the entire season 1 is completed, so I don't need to worry about anything. So, Rising of the Shield Hero is a garbage anime, and I fucking hate it, and here's why. Now, when this anime originally aired, all the edgelords came out of their basements filled with skulls and crossbones on their t-shirts to defend this horrendously disfigured raccoon this show has. But after a while, and the anime used all its gimmicks, and the authors misled people and became prevalent what this show was really about, and the true capacity of this author's capability of creativity were used up, both character-wise and narratively, the story immediately took a nosedive, meaning that after we got to episode 4, everything after that has essentially become a Naruto filler arc of go here and do this, and everything's okay by the end of the episode, and then go here and do that, and everything's okay by the end of the episode. Then when the gimmicks start up again, and when people start to see how contrived and stupid everything is, they're gonna come back and realize, well, you know, it wasn't really that good. It's the same thing used for Violet Evergarden. I was saying that anime was bad from the get-go. No one listened to me. Then when it was completed, then people rewatched it. They're all like, damn, this is really underwhelming. Because when you're watching this show, and after you get past all the rape, and the lolly slavery and the injustice the main character has to initially suffer to, and him bitching about all his problems, and him crying about all these scenarios that he's in, and him being all this edgy edgelord, and when you see there is absolutely no character evolution in this show, and the narrative is the standard isekai trend of we go to this other world, I get a harm, I become the king. In the story, you're going to discover this author's capability of writing this series has become a hollow shell of whatever the hell his original idea was. Because this is an anime where things happen and you just have to deal with it. And you discover this anime is nothing, and it has no substance or creativity beyond the gimmicks the story used to ensure that it captured the audience in the original 4 episodes with its, oh man, injustice, oh man, in slavery, oh man, the main character eats dirt, oh my god, not everyone in the story likes the main protagonist besides the main supporting cast, oh man, we're gonna it's a raccoon girl. Oh man, that's the reason why I'm watching this show. The interaction, blah 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 blah. This show is bad. And I don't know why people can't realize that. It takes a while for it to settle in, but there's nothing this show has to offer of substance. Now, people like to make the argument on these videos, especially when it came to Goblin Slayer, that XYZ said this, blah 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 said that, and people weren't leaving their own opinions. Now, people like, for I don't know what reason, Digibro, for whatever reason, likes this anime. And a lot of people like to use the entire inclination or the entire introspection of, well, Digiro likes it, so I like it. And I'm going to watch all his videos on, whatever he does weekly on it. And then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to use that exact same reasoning to explain why I like the show as well. Because that makes sense. Because I can't form my own opinions. So, what we're going to do here is completely neglect that Digibro likes this show and accept that I don't like this show. And then proceed to go through every bullet point of why I don't like this show, like your opinion means something to me, when it doesn't. Because I don't like this show. Now, ultimately, I could tear the narrative structure of this entire series apart, talking about its characters' poor decisions, the character contrivances, and the overall narrative failing to function as a whole, but instead of doing that, I'm going to make a checklist of everything I hate that this series has to offer, which is nothing. There's literally nothing I like about this anime. Now, as much as I'd like to make another 4-hour video explaining why this series is non-cynical, and it just doesn't make sense like I did for Goblin Slayer, I don't have the energy for that, so we're going to have to deal with whatever the hell this is. Now, right from the get-go, this series is garbage. The main character gets charged with a rape accusation, and this literally destroys his entire career as an adventurer. So after the event of episode 1, the remaining of the story is simply dedicated to dropping a nice wet steamy shit on the main character's head, because the writer couldn't think of anything else better to write, or have any other creative inclinations that could be explored in this, fantasy world. Now, what you notice immediately is that the author of Rising of a Shield Hero used the same gimmick that the author from Goblin Slayer used. Well, Goblin Slayer episode 1, oh man, look at that girl, oh man, she gets raped, oh boy, and it's gonna be a dark fantasy series. And then you get to Rising of a Shield Hero, main character, oh man, he's charged with rape accusations, oh man, the world treating him like dirt, oh man, at the end of the episode he's gotta buy a slave, and immediately you think, oh man, this is gonna be a mature series. But then as the story continues on, and I'm gonna admit this only once, in hindsight, this could have been a good anime if it wasn't trying to rush and didn't feature a lolly harm and no personality supporting characters and a boring blank canvas main character that does good things for good reasons, and we know why he does good things for good reasons, because he needs to have character appeal, and the main character is the most important character because the story author said so. In addition to this might have been a good story if the writing wasn't so abysmal, and every event that occurred within the story didn't seem so contrived because they are contrived. Now, due to the main character's limitations of being the shield hero in combination with the rape accusations that he had, was accused of in episode 1, he isn't able to mend relationships as he normally would. And because he is a support hero class and doesn't have the trust of people due to the very fact that, for whatever reason that the story doesn't want to explain, this is an entire nation where women come first, in the sense that, oh boy, if a woman charges another man with, hitting her or raping her or touching her, molestation or something like that, the dude goes to jail without any questions, and his face is plastered on a poster that says rapist, molester, murderer, or whatever on a wall, and everyone sees that, and everyone doesn't like that person. And ironically, for some reason that isn't explained within the story, the main character is the only case of this situation happening in the entire series, and no other men besides the main character have had this injustice done to them. And it's not like there's like I don't know, if you've seen the entire TV show of Arrested Development, there isn't a Sudden Valley, which is a joke that's in Arrested Development, where a bunch of pedophiles or, live initially in the show. What I'm essentially implying here is that there's not a community of people where an injustice have been done to them due to the very manipulation of the law that the ruler had of the pro-women movement, or whatever the hell he initially calls it within the story. You think there would be, considering how this story initially likes to be told, but it doesn't, because the main character needs to be the focal center point of the story, and no one can overshadow the main character in an isekai story. And as consequence for this, or should I rephrase this and say, for reward for this, the main character has to buy a slave who immediately falls in love with him because reasons, and because there isn't, a group of people that have been accused of rape and there isn't a community of men around that for some reason. I don't know, that could have been an entire plot line, but the author just doesn't care. I mean, I applaud authors like the author of Log Horizon, who has a main character that is a support character and is intelligible and acts like a normal person, but how that author maneuvers around the situations of the character's limitations is done masterfully, unlike the writer that does Rising of the Shield Hero, who uses cheap gimmicks to gain or, gather people around to watch his anime and buy his books and, stuff like that. No, I have no problem with this. I have a problem, however, about how horrendously it's all written. The problem with this anime is that immediately following the first 2 episodes, that are the edgiest episodes of the entire series, besides where we're gonna see later within the story when the character gets renamed Bitch, if you know what I'm talking about. But basically, the raccoon girl develops Stockholm Syndrome, or something that amounts to that, and she becomes love-struck because the main character is the main protagonist, and the story told her to be in love with him because reasons, and there isn't any other reason besides that. If you believe there is another reason beside that, there isn't. And if you believe anything counterintuitive to what I'm saying and don't believe it as fact, then why does the author, to reinforce the idea that the raccoon girl and the main character will and always will be together and will always be in love, despite the main character's refusal of the entire idea, why does the author and the screenwriter make sure every other male figure or every other male character that's introduced in the story either come across as an evil douchebag or an evil asshole? The only person that's good is the main character, and you don't think that's contrived or, convenient? Therefore, Raccoon Girl has no other option than to be with the male main lead character because reasons I don't understand. Now, you could say reasons I don't understand is a shoddy reason for giving this explanation, but there's nothing of appeal that the main character has that can be appealing to another woman. I mean, seriously? There's nothing personality-wise that I can distinguish or characteristically say that this main lead protagonist has, because he has no personality. It's stupid. Now, ultimately, I can assume the author believes, or either deluded himself into thinking, his sick little pedophile ring circling the main character was somehow entertaining to read, or is somehow the best relationship this story has to offer, because it's the only real relationship this story has to offer that's poorly written and executed, by the way, when it isn't. But at this point, I don't give a fuck, or do I care, because it's all bad. But anyway, the point I'm trying to initially make here is that instead of actually writing a relationship that made 2 characters who wouldn't normally trust each other in a master and slave servant dichotomy, the writer took narrative shortcuts, installing slavery curses and slavery bracelets onto the raccoon lolly girls, and told the readers in the anime audience that she likes it. So there's nothing to worry about, and there's nothing to be concerned about, and I'm not even going to write about this topic or discuss the psychological influence that this character may have on the narrative at all, because she likes it. It's just like Miraniki. Miraniki gets a pass considering the very fact that the author was deliberately doing that. But this anime doesn't get a pass. It's slavery, for God's sake. Oh my god. Ursula and Sinky didn't even do this. And one of the characters like a slave, and they had to earn the main character trust, and they learned to trust each other. Oh, I'm thinking more of something completely different. But anyway, the author made narrative shortcuts to get to the quote-unquote more entertaining content this series has to offer. Pointless fighting and one-dimensional bad characters that are so fucking retarded that a turtle could understand what's going on before any of these supporting characters could. Where other isekai like I was reincarnated into a slime and Overlord focuses on the lore and character expansion in relation to the worlds, and anime like Log Horizon focuses on economics and manipulation of said economics within the video game world, Rising of the Shield Hero focuses on how much shit can the main character eat before he starts puking, and he needs to be emotionally validated from a little girl he's holding captive, because the little girl is his support system. Am I the only person that thinks this is fucked up and this is wrong? This is just non-fucking stop throughout this entire anime too. A little girl comes out of a chicken egg. The main character now has another little girl. I own a little slave girl because I bought him from a slave trader. I found a little girl in the woods. I found a little girl on the side of the street. It's absolutely insane. You think this author is a pedophile, to be honest. Just like how I predicted, or I made the assumption that the author of Goblin Slayer somehow hates women. But when you focus on this stuff so much throughout the entire narrative, and the entire theme of the entire anime is focusing around the adventures between the wholesome main character and the little raccoon girl that's aged up to look like she's 22 years old, you ultimately gotta make your own assumptions about the author himself, because man, this is fucked up and this is wrong. It's just wrong. I don't need to explain why it's wrong, but it's just wrong. Why would someone approve of this? I mean, in all seriousness, what kind of process do you gotta go through to initially write this? I mean, it's sitting there thinking in the shower, thinking in the desk, and like, oh man, so I'm gonna write this isekai story. The main character is gonna have a shield, and he's gonna be a supporting class. And due to the very fact that everyone hates him because rape accusation, the main character gets a slave in. It's a little girl. And throughout the entire series, I'm going to have sexually innuendos between the two characters. And I know the fan base is going to eat this up, so I'll cock tease them for like 22 volumes. And then I'll write a what-if story if they did get together. And then I won't canonize it because I know that's morally wrong, but I'm thinking about it. I mean, there gotta be something wrong. I mean, there's gotta be something wrong. I mean, I don't got anything against lollies or anything like that, but there's gotta be something wrong with this author, man. This scenario was presented in I was reincarnated into a slime. You know, the little cute little girl's hanging around the main character, and one day she goes to the main character and says, I'm in love with you, you know, whatever your name was. And the main character is like, maybe you can talk to me in like 12 years or 8 years, because she was like 10 or something like that. And the entire plot line just stops. But when it comes to other anime like Gunslinger Girl and After the Rain, the very fact that the main characters are little girls in the sense of Gunslinger Girl, it fit the entire MO of espionage and assassins and how they were programmed to kill people. And when it comes to specifically After the Rain, it was an exploration of that topic. The teenage girl was in love with the manager at the shop she worked at. She was like 15, the other dude was like 40. It actually explored that type of relationship and how she felt for the guy, and it actually discussed it in a mature manner. This series is all like, oh, and the harm of lollies is circling the main character, and I don't have a legitimate explanation of why this is happening within the fucking story. So, in short, once you get past the first 4 episodes of Rising of the Shield Hero, you can tell that the author is using gimmicks, and this story offers nothing narratively, philosophically, ideologically, or interesting morally to the reader, considering that it's just like other isekai that have bland protagonists that do things. At this point, I'm almost, dare I say, Rising of the Shield Hero is just as bad as Black Bullet. And man, what was Black Bullet out, man? I remember Black Bullet because it was distinctively bad. But Black Bullet, when did that come out? Like 5 years ago? Like 4 years ago? No, man, I'm getting old. But the point is, Rising of the Shield Hero is garbage. And I don't like it. And I don't even watch all of the episodes. And I can still tell you what's going on in the narrative because it's not offering much narratively. And the motivations of every character is, we gotta save the world and that must be done. Because without a world, there isn't a story, and it's just not interesting. The characters are one-dimensional and flat. Everyone's a fucking moron. I mean, honestly, I don't know what else to say. And I don't even think I can explain the rest of this without going on a big tangent of why it doesn't make sense narratively. The overarching narrative the story has to offer in relationship with the characters isn't anything special, and it's just garbage. It's not entertaining to watch. It's not fun. It's a bad anime. Therefore, this anime gets a rating of 2 out of 10. It's just filler. You can quote me on that. Go watch Log Horizon. It's worth it.